I don't feel desirable. I don't want the lights on. I don't want my partner to see my body. I have so much shame about my body. Why would they want to touch me?
Thank you so much for joining us today on Second Act TV. I'm so happy to introduce you to a new content expert to Second Act, coach, speaker, author, Nina Manolson. Nina, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, Silke, it's my absolute delight.
It's my delight because I'm so happy I found you because you speak to a topic that is so important here on Second Act. Nina is I'd never heard this, a body peace
Coach,
therapist or
a
coach.
body peace coach. Yeah, absolutely.
And you work primarily with women
Mm-hmm.
on loving your body, on body image issues, on this whole struggle, this war that we have with our body and food. Big topic. And the one that I want to concentrate on today for this segment, again, a huge topic here on Second Act, especially for those of us who find ourselves starting over again after 50, is intimacy. Is intimacy, or even the thought of intimacy, is that keeping you from actually living your life to the fullest and enjoying your relationship? I'll throw it over to you.
Yeah. So first of all, I want to say this is a really juicy topic because how people feel about themselves gets in the way of being sensual, of intimacy, of pleasure, of being connected to their partner, whether they're starting a new relationship or whether they've been in a relationship for 30, 40, 50 years, right? No matter what, how we feel in our body impacts how we show up in bed, how we show up in the relationship. And what I most often hear is often from women, but also from men, is I don't feel desirable. I don't want the lights on. I don't want my partner to see my body. I don't walk around naked. I have so much shame about my body. Why would they want to touch me?
Right. Right.
And that honestly, it breaks my heart.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we're in that miasma of body shame, because that's absolutely what it is body shame. It's basically like building a wall between us and the people we most want to be connected to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's a way that it just blocks because we're not actually being present. We're not being there because we're so in our head. Oh gosh, what do they think about me? How does my body look? Is my belly hanging over to the side, right? Are my boobs wobbling this way or that, right? Going like flying, right? And I want to be absolutely 100% honest. I have been there going, oh, don't touch my belly,
Mm-hmm.
right? Don't touch my stomach because, oh my gosh, I have so much shame around my stomach. But then what happens? We create a divisiveness between us and the person we're trying to have fun with.
Right. Right. And we're all victims of, well, I hate the word victim, but that essentially is what it is. Or we're all influenced by what others have told us, we should be like. And that's
Yes.
what's so frustrating. And I like that you said you've been there, and I've been there, and I'm still there. This is something that I think, I just want to be totally honest that yes, I think about that, especially as I'm getting older. And that's why this is so important. And based on what I read, actually, research says that body image, or shame, is like the biggest obstacle to intimacy outside of just having relationship issues. It's the biggest one. And that is, it's really broken down in two different levels. And I want to get your input on that and how to work with that. And that one is how we feel about ourselves. Mm-hmm. And then the other is what we think our partner or potential new partners think. How do we break out of that?
Yeah. So let me start with this concept of what we think other people think.
Okay.
right? That's a really important, even just to state it, because it's not the truth. It's what we think other people think. I imagine my partner is judging me. I imagine this person I'm dating is going to judge me based on my body size, right? So right away, it's what we think, what we imagine. Is it the truth? We don't know. We don't know. They may be, but they may not be. And more than likely, they're not, because they're connecting with you because of who you are. We're not just the shape of our body, right? And one of the things you touched upon, so important, which is this idea of an aging body. Our body is changing. And who are we getting used to? A whole new body and a whole new way of working, and not just body shape, mobility,
Hmm.
how we move, our flexibility, right? We're probably not the 20-year-old gymnasts in bed that we might have been, right? Our needs might have changed. Good, in a good way. We know what we want and we know what we don't, right? So, in the same way that we've gotten wiser in our years about saying what we want, we need to bring that skill to this issue of body shame. I need some reassurance. I need to know I'm feeling self conscious. Are you judging? Can you give me a sense of safety? Right? We're not necessarily safe with Joe Schmo walking down the street who's judging because he judges everybody,
Right.
but we're talking about intimacy here. We're talking about a relationship where we want to connect. That is the place where we want to say, hey, how's it going here?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm feeling a little vulnerable. I'm in a different body than I was yesterday, a year ago, 10 years ago.
Right. On this channel alone, I mean, I get tons of comments from men that is one of their complaints is that they want to be intimate with their partner, with their wife, long term either, or somebody they just met, and they get so frustrated with the lack of confidence, or like one guy just wrote, I was so attracted to her, but then her lack of confidence and just this I just didn't know this woman in bed, because that's what turned me off, what eventually broke us up. And I guess since we really are focusing on women here, we have a lot of men watching, and you brought up a good point, is that whether the woman expresses it or not, there is a sense of vulnerability. I don't care how
It's
beautiful
vulnerable.
is, yeah, and just maybe to be aware of that. And the other thing is, one of the reasons that and I want to ask you about that too, that is built up is not only by the media and the images, and that aging is bad and that we become invisible and irrelevant after 50,
Yep.
but it's also comments that men make about other
Yes.
women or women in general,
Yes.
oh, is that me, is that
Right.
me?
Right. When we're around somebody who's judging bodies, we're assuming that that's how they're talking about our body, right? So this is a both men and women issue, right? Women show up in bed with the sense of insecurity, but men can really support this dynamic by watching how they judge, what they say out loud about their coworker, about the woman there who's walking down the street, about any woman's body, right? So the rule of thumb here is don't comment.
Hmm.
Really, don't comment. It's not ours as a woman or a man to comment on somebody else's body.
Right.
What you can do when you're in an intimate relationship is be supportive and create a safe environment. We want to feel safe. That's what builds a sense of confidence. And when we feel confident in our body, our brain goes from, oh my gosh, what does he think of my body? What's the position of my this, my that, my this, to, oh, how do I feel? We drop out of our head into our pleasure. And that's where we're having fun.
Right.
That's where we're connecting. That's what we really want. So both people in a partnership are coming to the table with a little work. Men, support us, help us create safe space for these bodies that have been judged our whole lives. Women, do the work. Do the inner work of creating a relationship with yourself that feels like I am honoring my body. I am being on my side. I'm healing the decades of body shame.
Yeah. Yeah, and I want to acknowledge again. We've kind of alluded to it that yes, it's a male issue, not just from the supporting standpoint, if you will, but yeah, men get it too, especially as they age. They've gained, and
Absolutely.
then the whole sexual performance, which is another
Yep.
conversation, and we've actually done a
Mhm.
lot of videos on that. So this really is focused on what women go through, what women and what men might want or need to know what the
Yeah.
person, the woman that you love might be experiencing and how you can help in changing that.
And the roles can be totally reversed, right? Absolutely. I've talked to men who are feeling self conscious about their body, whose bodies have changed as they've aged. And that keeps them from intimacy, that keeps them from being fully expressed in bed with their partner.
Yeah.
And so we want our intimacy, our sexuality, our sensuality to be somewhere that's safe, fun, exploratory, where we can be freely in our body, lights on, right? Walking naked. That's what we want. We want that sense of freedom and aliveness and vibrancy. And I want to say that is worth doing the work for. And we all get to have that. But it might take some healing.
Yeah. No, it does. And depending on talking to our viewers now, where you are in this process, how you feel about your body, or, you're either going to go, yeah, maybe that can happen, or you're going to go, no, I'll never be there. I want to share one interesting fact. This kind of came up. We're just having this conversation organically here. It was kind of going all over the place. But I discovered a couple years ago that clothing optional resorts, and don't ask me how I discovered all this, but I actually did some interviews there. And not lifestyle, not swingers, I'm talking about that, but just clothing optional, where you just go and you're nude. Do you know that? You probably do because this is your field. Do you know that most of the people there are over 50, 60, 70s? And it was the most interesting thing that I discovered that all of a sudden, as we age,
It speaks to our desire to feel free in our body. It speaks to a desire to feel liberated in our body, right? And it speaks to a desire to feel like I can trust my body and it's okay to be me. And when we feel at home in our body, it impacts everything else in our life. It impacts every relationship. It impacts how we show up, right? So I love that that statistic is there that, oh, wow, as people age, they're like, forget this body shame and judging each other. Let's just be ourselves fully.
yeah, that's when I saw that this is possible. What we're saying is absolutely possible.
It is
Yeah, and
possible.
I veered us off a little bit here. We're starting to come to the end. We have, I don't know, about 3 or 4 minutes left or so, and I want to make sure I don't leave out anything that you really want to draw out in this conversation. So, well, let me throw it
Yeah,
back over to you. What happened?
right.
I
So,
asked.
so, so there's a couple of things that I would love listeners to take away.
Okay.
One is if you're holding this, start talking about it. If you can't talk about it with your partner, talk about it with a body peace coach, talk about it with your therapist. Start talking about it. Our body shame lives in the shadows, and we think we're the only one with it, and it's just not true, right? So start talking about it, and then start asking for the support that you need around it and start experimenting. What would happen if I allowed myself a little bit more pleasure? What would happen if I dropped out of that constant vigilant judging awareness? What are they thinking? What am I thinking? And dropped into sensation.
Hmm. Yeah.
And as you said, it is possible. It's possible to heal this body shame so that you have more access to pleasure.
Well, I know that you have all kinds of recommendations how to make that shift. And I want to hold you over for another segment where we talk about that in detail because I know one of the biggest things with me is really bringing that up. I like everything we've talked about now. I get it. It all makes sense. Actually doing it
Yeah.
is where I know for me that's difficult, and I'm sure for lots of our viewers it is as well. So Nina, again, thank you for joining us on this segment. I will link to all of your information. I will have Nina's contact information in the show notes below. If something resonated here that you heard, give Nina a call. There might be a lot of healing that she can help facilitate for you. So thank you again for joining us today on Second Act TV, and we'll see you soon again. Thanks for watching. If you haven't already done so, please be sure to subscribe to our channel. The button is right here. Just click on through to YouTube, and when you see the little bell right next to the subscribe button, hit that too, and we'll notify you every time we launch a new video. See you next time.